pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. All right. Good morning, everybody. First one's roll call, school board members. We're all here, so we can move directly into 4.0. Communications and reports. Why don't we start with 4.1, the finance report? So Amanda, the floor is yours.
All right, so I will start with our the budget to actual report. So first, I just want to say that I have a lot of year-end information in here, but it's not all available yet. So there's some missing things that are large, like the property tax receivable. We just haven't gotten that information from the county yet. But a lot of the other information is already in here. So our revenues are currently over budget, but again, that could change. I don't know which way the property tax receivables are going to go. I'd have to spend some time going through it, but I should get that information from the county in the next week or so. And then on the expense side of things, our expenses are over budget. We are still getting some invoices, but there shouldn't be as much change there. Carla and I went through everything last Thursday to put everything in that we had, but there obviously could be some still invoices that trickle in. So on the next page, if we just want to look at like the net results, so the general fund is down 1.1 million. Again, that one will likely see the most amount of change as we do our the rest of our year-end procedures and then go through audit. The food service fund should be pretty close to actual. They may have a couple additional payables in there. So that deficit of 98,000 probably won't change much. And then the other two that will likely see some changes are the community ed fund and the debt service fund. And that is because the property tax receivable calculation affects those two funds as well. So I didn't pull out any specific numbers, mainly because they're all still in flux for year end. So is there any questions on the budget to actual? Okay, so then the other report is the treasurer's report. And our cash position is down over the prior year by 1.6 million, which is reflectant of what the budget to actual showed. Most of that changes in the general fund due to the losses there. I did want to note our debt service fund has a little bit of cash in there, and that is going to go, a lot of that will go out today as our bond payments are due in July. But it's just our interest payments. So I believe that's today or tomorrow that those are wired to pay for that bill. And then most of our funds are still sitting in the MASLAF funds, and we're trying to keep it that way as we're getting the most amount of interest there. But we're getting quite a bit more interest this year than we were last year. So this in June, we got 25,000 of interest. Compared to last year, we got less than 5,000. So we're trying to keep the funds in that MASLAF account as long as possible. Any questions? So the audit is the end of next month. Sorry, the audit is the end of August. I should have the numbers in there before then. Once we get the property tax statements, and then there's a few other reports that the state just issues within the month, we should have the final numbers then. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, sounds good.
You know, there's some.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for Amanda? All right. Well, then let's move on to 4.2. Then you did both, didn't you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move to 4.2, administration and department head reports. We can start with superintendent. So have that do how you want to do it at the beginning?
Sure. We can try it now. I mean,
the floor is yours, Brian.
sounds good. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good morning to everybody. Thanks for all being here. Just first of all, I want to start out by saying thank you. I haven't had a chance to formally say that to the board yet. I know I've talked to all of you individually, but just really thankful for the opportunity, obviously. I have nothing but good things to say about my experience here at East Grand Forks so far. just been a wonderful experience. The level of support I've received and encouragement and just friendliness and the welcoming and information that I need and ask for is prompt and it's swift. And so everybody's just been great and helpful. Happy to join a real highly functional team here at East Grand Forks. It just feels good coming in and having people around you that do things the right way and are looking to build and grow and things like that. So just super excited from day one. Just the experience has been phenomenal. So just really thankful for that and wanted to thank all of you for giving me the opportunity here at East Grand Forks. Just some quick updates for everybody. As you know, we've been working on the transportation director and we'll be looking at that in a little bit here, but I'm excited about that, happening here at East Grand Forks. I think it's an important position and I think it's one that, deserves attention. So I'm excited to get our new person in here to lead that department. We've also been working with streamlining HR in the district, trying to get that thing moving forward. And it's been challenging. I mean, there's a lot of dialogue back and forth that we've had, but we feel like we're heading in the right direction. And I would just caution the board in saying that anything we do with HR now and approve, we can, reevaluate things, 3 months, 6 months down the road, and we can make adjustments as needed. But I think for a school district our size, I think HR is going to be critical moving forward. I think it's a smart move. Director of Teaching and Learning, as we know, the board made a decision on that at the last board meeting. And we'll talk about that in a little bit as well. But we've been working hard with Mrs. Driscoll to get that resolved and situated and giving her some direction with her new role and things like that. So a lot of time and effort have been put into that. But again, one of those things where we can adjust as needed when we see things. I went around and I've seen all the buildings so far at the district, and again, I'm just super impressed. I spent some time walking around the high school, and I have to admit, I think I got lost a couple times. So it's very impressive. All the other buildings are in great shape. People are working hard. It's just really nice to get out there and see the things that are going on, even the summer school programming that's going on. It was nice to get over to New Heights and visit with folks. So it's been very enjoyable so far. I've met with all the principals and APs and department heads for the most part. I think I've kind of made my rounds, and again, everybody's been great, and it's been really helpful to me to learn the district and kind of get my needle point in the right direction. So it's been really good. Staffing, of course, we're talking about that every day, and the principals and I and everybody else are trying to make sure we start the school year with everybody that we need, so we can hit the ground running. So we're working on that. A more of an enjoyable story here. I was able to visit the Booster Golf Tourney last week. That was really nice to step out of my office and just kind of go out there and be Brian a little bit and talk to a few folks. So really enjoyed that, and hopefully I can work on my golf game and maybe I can actually play next year. But I will tell you, I have a little work to do there. And then just real quickly with legislative changes, as you know, really big summer for us to get prepared for the school year. We have all of these 30 policies that we're looking at to get revised and updated and eventually adopted. So we've been working hard on that. And again, also looking at how that impacts our schools and how we do things, those processes, all of those things that we've kind of done. We have to take a look and make sure that we're doing it the right way moving forward. And so these policies are not only need to be adopted, they need to be followed as a guideline. And so we're making sure that we're following the law and things like that. So a lot of work going into that. And then of course, student handbooks. They'll be coming to you, the board. I believe the 14th of August is what we're planning for. And some principals know that, and they're going to start working on that. We've given them the MSBA model handbook to reference. And so they'll be working on that. And so that's another thing that the school board will need to approve before school starts. Other than that, we're preparing and ready for start of school. So looking at communications that need to go out for everybody, staff, students, families, all that stuff. We're looking at that. So just I know it's a little bit more than I would typically have for you, but because it's my first board meeting, I wanted to be a little more thorough. So that's kind of what's been going on with me.
Well, welcome aboard, Brian, and thanks for all you've done this far. Any questions for Brian right now? He'll be answering questions as we go through the agenda here. So let's keep plugging away. I don't under 4.2 number 2. I don't think we have any presentations from principals. Do I have none from department heads? And the only one I have is community ed director. And I'm just trying to check if I know I got you on the agenda, but you want to present now, don't you? Sure. Okay. The floor is yours.
All right, good morning, everyone. So things in community ed are rolling this summer, but Carla and Amanda and I did a little analysis of our driver's ed revenue and expenses, and there's a need for us to increase our rates. A modest increase of $30. But with increasing costs in rental and fuel, we feel a need so that we'll have a modest increase at the end of the year in or a modest profit in our budget, but just that gives us a little cushion so that if we have a hailstorm or a window break or tires go out, we have a little cushion there to pay for some of those expenses. But this increase pretty much gives us a little bit of money to work with over what we need to run the program. So we're asking for your approval for that. Mr. Chono does a great job of getting kids in and out and process through driver's ed over the summer. It's a great program, and we're still, I didn't call around to get everyone else's fees, but I know we're still a little below what the area is. So it's still a good deal for our students. And they had asked if we could have it before school started so they could get in the handbook with the right fee. So we're asking for an increase in that. And then the other thing we're asking for is an increase. We need another preschool teacher, believe it or not. Our numbers, I left my computer. Our numbers are up. We have 14 more students in our 4-year-old program than we've had in the past. And that gives us an extra section of the 5-day-a-week 4-year-old program. So we would have 2 sections of 3 days a week and 3 sections of 5 days a week. And it shows, I had sent a spreadsheet to Brian with the increase. So for us, it's an increase in revenue of about $40,000 by fees. But I need some direction from you to either add a section or call some people and say we don't have room. And I know space is a big deal, and I've been working with Soraya on some space. We don't have a clear answer on that yet, but if I get approval, then we'll go hard at finding a space for the classroom.
What's the numbers per classroom right now?
We're limited by statute to 20.
Okay.
Yeah. And this would still, we have 8 kids that are signed up to come 2 days a week. And so those kids would get shuffled in to the mix. And then Kelly Berg would her day, she would teach 3 days a week in preschool, and she'll do 2 days a week of ECFE. And we levy money for ECFE, and she's been doing some night stuff for us, but we need to get back to offering some daytime stuff for parents. And so she would take that role back again. She's had it on and off for a couple of years.
What is the ECFE?
ECFE is early childhood family education. Yeah, where parents and kids come together and do some education stuff.
Diane, are you at all worried that we'd hire and not have space?
I am a little bit worried about that, but I am also willing to turn over some rocks and see what we can find in the community also. I mean, we might have to go outside of our comfort zone.
Well, we're gonna get to this as an agenda. item,
Yep.
But my question is to say we have 14 on the waiting list of everybody that's within this preschool program. For the last several years, we know we're not making money.
Great.
We're trying to use this as a feeder program.
Yes.
Do we know, are they all East Grand Forks residents?
You,
What I don't want to do is if there's 14 kids that are coming out, just because we have a program. I have issue with that.
yep.
I have issue with adding and looking for a space when we're not supporting the residents of East Grand Forks. So once we get to the, that's what I'd like to know.
And there is only one non-resident student enrolled. Because I looked at that too, and I thought if we took out non-resident, then would we not need, and there's only one non-resident person paying the non-resident fee. Yep. And so that might be an adjustment we make moving forward for the next school year, is to remove that from our option. I don't know.
Yeah, we may have
to look at that.
Because if it continues expanding, but board members,
Yeah.
any questions or comments right now? It's on the agenda, so we'll have some discussion time for it, but all right.
All right, thank you.
Diane. Appreciate it. Okay, with that being said, we can move right into 4.3 committee reports. So Superintendent, if you want to just run through them real quick and just touch on them. I can touch on number 2 if need be, but
Sounds good. I got Mr. Heskin here too to present on the LTF real quick. You can do that. Yep.
First one we would look at is it's just a resolution that we need to go over and get approved so we can get it to the state, Sarah Miller by the 31st of July. It's always been just a procedure kind of thing. It goes over the resolution and then the document signed, and then the estimated income that we're going to receive and the estimated expenditures that we're going to put out for the following year. So if you look at the income revenue projection, we are looking at $756,306 for next year for the LTFM budget. And if you go to our expenditure, which it splits it up, because our fiscal year ends June 30th, so the numbers don't match up all the time for what I've spent and what we actually are spending. So they're a little screwed that way, but we're looking at our Fund 1 account, which is our regular LTFM budget. Started the budget in the beginning of the year at $318,053. And then with our revenue incomes and stuff, we closed out. We'll have a budget excess of $291,545. And then if you look at our Fund 6 account, which would be our capital project income that we took out for the loans that we still have sitting on the reserve, we have $728,638 sitting on the revenue. Our expenditure, I believe, for the bond fund is $440,000. So if we add the two together, still we will end up with almost $1 million sitting in our funds for next year. Estimated what our plans are is to start doing boiler project replacements, and we would spend approximately $392,000 next year for that, and same with the following. So we put that into our account so she sees that, because they want us to spend out that capital 6 fund out. They don't want us to carry that. So we would still end up carrying over. Next year, we would actually have a excess of $306,549 in our LTFM fund if we just stay on the projection that we're doing right now. So that's what I'm looking at. Any questions?
Ron, how, I mean, you might have even said, how much can we carry?
We get LTFM, we can carry a lot. I mean, they don't really regulate that. They just don't want us to carry that capital fund.
Okay.
They want us to spend that since it's a loan that we took out.
So once you're said and done with it, to have your planning.
Yep.
Still get together with facilities.
Yes. Yep.
You know,
This is just a projection of what we want to
331
do.
would touch some of the summer projects and things of that nature.
Yep. No, we'll still have our LTFM meetings with the facility committee and go over everything, but this is just a projection of what we'd like to do for next year. We have to have a plan sent out to them.
Questions for Ron? Resolution will come up. It's in, yeah, 8 point, well, it's under district business.
8.1.
So, but any questions for Ron right now? How's the summer projects going right now, Ron?
They're going good. Yeah. Couple of them are a little bit behind, just the parking lot out at the middle school. They ended up with a little catch-22 kind of thing. So, but they're ready now to come in and mill it and overlay it. So once that's done, it'll be, yeah, we'll have a lot of our projects wrapping up here in the next couple of weeks. So.
All right, well, appreciate it. If there's no other questions for Ron, we're gonna move on. Let's move into 4.3, number 2, negotiations committee. Brian, if you want to just touch on that.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Mr. Chairman. So we've been contacted by a couple of the union groups to initiate negotiations. And so actually going to be meeting with a couple gentlemen here in a little bit, just to get to know each other a little bit and set up some dates maybe, or look at some times in the calendar. So I'll be communicating that with the negotiations committee to see how that goes. The other group is the bus drivers. I know they contacted us and would also like to get together. Just a reminder, we'll need to negotiate with the principals as well. And then we do need to do some business with the paraprofessionals as well. So just a reminder, we'll have a busy year of negotiations. And so part of the reason why we've been maybe a little bit behind this year's negotiations, I think it's pretty similar across the state. Everybody's trying to catch up and make sure they got their ducks in a row with language and policy and stuff like that. So just want to publicly state I appreciate everybody's patience during this process, and looking forward to getting together and see what we can come up with. Do you have anything in addition to that? Mr. Chair?
Any questions, board members, on negotiations, for those board members that aren't on the committee? We've given direction to Brian just to, originally, prior to Mike leaving and Brian coming on board, that let's pause. Those groups have reached out to me. Brian, as you said, is going to start meeting with them, and we'll set up some time, but there's a lot of changes that don't even have to do. I mean, it has to do with negotiation, but we want to make sure that we're catching everything that we have to do, or we have to be prepared to do. There's a lot of changes that come in 2025, but I think it impacts us now, or
Yep.
I guess I would say it behooves us not to start looking at that stuff. So we'll take things slow. I know all of us want to get things done right away up here as well as the groups, but just as long as we're meeting and talking, that's the important thing, and we'll get it done. So any other questions on that? Otherwise, let's move to 3. I know policy review has been meeting, so Superintendent, touch on that.
Yep. Sure. And I invite any board members that were at the policy committee to jump into, but we met last Tuesday and we went through 9, I believe, 9 policies. Sound right?
I don't even remember.
Which is
A lot.
which is not typical, by the way. So we were pretty busy, and it's a little overwhelming. There are massive changes. And so like I had told the board when I first came on here, I want to break it up into 3 groups just to make it a little bit more, palatable. This whole thing is it's just confusing. So so we went through 9 and we had some good discussion, and certainly we'll probably have some more today, but just wanted to thank everybody for their hard work. And Nancy's been really key and very helpful and supportive during this process. And she's just been a savior really for me, trying to get everything organized and things. I know she's been sharing things to the board and the committee. So it's been good. So just thanks to everybody. I know it's going to be a process, but we'll get through it.
All right, policy board members, anything to add, or
I'll wait till we vote.
we'll wait till we get to the agenda item. So with that being said, let's move on to 5.0 consent agenda. Anybody want anything pulled?
I would like a discussion on pulling Soraya's contract. Should it further?
Well, I'll tell you, we're not going to talk about a contract at a board meeting.
Well,
So
Okay,
I'm not even going to address talking to it as a contract as a board. So there's negotiations committee. So
yeah,
if there's a reason that you want it pulled, we can pull it, but
a typo.
well, typo we can fix.
Well, yeah. Just
Um,
that's the reason.
I mean, does it have to do with the negotiation, the
No,
negotiation itself, or just
no.
something?
No, it's just, so, can I say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so on there, it just has Director of Teacher and Learning. It doesn't have anything about her new job title as a principal.
Oh, yeah.
And I
that's fine.
feel uncomfortable voting on that when it's not actually what it's gonna be.
Yep, no, I think,
That's, it's nothing about negotiations or anything.
well, then let's, I don't know if we need to pull it. Why don't we just talk about it real quick?
Yep.
Okay.
Just,
I can
Yeah, go
clarify
ahead.
that a little bit. So, and Amanda did contact me last week and asked me about that. And I said, that's a good catch. We should probably have something on there that looks like principal duties.
Mhm.
Even though I think within the contract, I think we are covered by the language that states that the school board and or superintendent can designate duties to this position. So I think we're covered technically, because that's what the board did. The board made a motion and basically gave her that responsibility. So I think we're technically covered. Where it got a little confusing is that Ms. Driscoll signed her contract. And so she was in there with the rest of the non-groups. And so we tried to contact her late last week and even in the weekend probably. and we're unable to communicate with her about the change. Because it was already signed, we didn't feel comfortable just making the change without her being part of that.
Sure.
So we brought it forward to be approved this morning, but we're certainly, open to make any edits and things like that that would satisfy the board.
So with that being said, we're not really talking negotiation terms or anything, so we can talk about that. I mean, if you guys are comfortable with Amanda's request to pull it, we can. I mean, it's not gonna,
Just to
not
make
gonna affect anything.
less
if we
confusion, less
wait till the
confusion,
next-
more accuracy, just for it to be correct before we approve
Okay.
it. That's
Nope.
all.
No, I guess I will, you don't need a second to pull anything off the consent agenda, but I'll certainly support that. So let's pull,
Yep.
let's pull Soraya's out right now. We won't vote on that one and then just bring that back. You wanna work internally with Brian and try to per your recommendation. If
Sounds
the
good.
Title stays the same, then just have an explanation why it stayed the same or
Yeah.
if we change something in there. Everybody else on board with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Anything else that anybody wants pulled off the consent?
I don't want anything pulled, but I want to make sure everybody's okay that I'm voting on the consent agenda. My brother is being hired.
Yes.
As long as everybody's okay with that, she doesn't have to recuse herself as long as it's noted. So with that being said, I'm gonna make a motion to approve the consent agenda with out of number 5.24, we're gonna remove Soraya Driscoll's and bring that back at a upcoming board meeting.
I'll second.
Okay, any questions or discussion on the consent? All those in favor of approving the consent agenda as uploaded into board book signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. 6.0 is opportunities for citizens to speak on items not on the agenda. I had none. Superintendent, did you have any?
None over here.
All right, so let's move on to 7.0 to approve the agenda as presented. I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move.
I'll second.
Questions or discussion? Right, all those in favor of approving the agenda as uploaded into board book signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, 8.1 is to approve the FY 25 long-term facilities management maintenance plan. That's what Ron just talked about. So this is a resolution. We'll get a motion and then we'll get a second and then Nancy, if you'll call roll.
So moved.
I'll second.
Questions or discussions before we do roll call? All right, Nancy, if you would, please. Yes.
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 All right, resolution carries. 8.2 is authorized administration to advertise for health insurance bids. So let's hear a little bit about that before we make a motion.
Yeah. So I mean, Carla, you might know more about this than I do. Did you want to speak on that a little bit?
Yes, sorry. We're just advertising, it's a requirement.
Yep.
Valor asked us to reach out, but we have to do two and provide office.
We gotta move. All right, I'll entertain a motion, please.
Please, Carla.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right. Questions or discussion? All those in favor of authorizing health insurance advertisements of health insurance bids signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.3 is to approve the hiring of short-term substitute teachers. I think we do this every year, so I'm gonna make a motion.
I'll second.
Questions or discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving the hiring of short-term subs signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 8.4 is designation of hot lunch hearing officer, so we're gonna designate Brian Hackbarth as our hot lunch hearing officer, so somebody give me a motion.
I'll move.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
What is a hot lunch hearing officer?
Basically, if somebody can't pay, which really shouldn't be an issue
Right.
this year.
Yeah.
So it should be the easiest job I have this year.
Oh, okay. So pretty much just
Yeah,
in theory would try to collect the money.
I mean, there
If
could,
we-
something could come up, but yeah, I
Okay.
would be the one that would decide what needs to happen.
Okay, okay, thank you.
All those in favor of approving signify by stating aye.
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 Anybody opposed? All right, motion carries. 8.5 is hot lunch, offer versus serve. So we do this every year as well. So I'll make a motion.
A second.
Questions or discussion?
What is the difference?
I don't know if there
I
is a
think-
difference.
Well, no, don't they
What's
ask
the
them if they
point?
want something rather than just putting it on?
Right,
Right,
right.
Yeah, so they offer the food to them and they can decline it
Okay,
or
Rather
rather
just
than
give
just
them a
putting it on
plate.
the plate and then them throwing it away, is what I understand.
Correct.
That's my understanding.
okay.
All right. All those in favor of approving hot lunch off reverse serve? Signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, 8.6 policy updates. One reading is required for these ones. A lot of changes, virtually all the changes came from Minnesota statute and what our friends in St. Paul decided to do the districts this past year. So I'd like to get that little plug in there. So I'm going to make a motion to accept the revisions to the policies as presented and attached.
I'll second.
All right, now what I want to do is, let's have discussion if need be.
Okay, so I would, also, can I start?
Yep.
Okay, so I'll start with 419. It's the tobacco one. In the policy committee, we discussed possibly having identification for students if they're carrying loose tobacco. Nothing was ever really decided. I have reached out to a couple people that I know that are part of the Chippewa tribe. They all have cards, even descendants. I just don't know what tribes we have in the area besides the Chippewa tribe. But I think in our policy, we should have, if you're going to carry the loose tobacco, some sort of identification should be carried.
Did we look? Did we, because the conversation that we had at the policy committee was to talk about what a qualified
Yeah,
person would be. Did we look at the state law to see what that was?
it's yeah, you only have to have, I can't remember the amount of percentage, but
But it doesn't say card carrying.
they all have some sort of identification if they are registered to the tribe.
According to the people that you talked to.
Yeah, but it doesn't say anything in the law. So I
Right.
just think that we should have more time to look to see if they all have cards, then we should have in our policy that they should carry cards. If they're gonna bring the tobacco, then maybe have a card with them. I
Well,
don't know.
not sitting on the policy committee and reading through these, nevertheless, we're a tobacco-free school. So I mean, I think we need to look at that. I know that legislature has made some changes.
Mhm.
They also made some changes with some recreational drugs that are going to come into play. And we're a drug-free school too, and our teachers aren't going to be, and I hate to call it, I'll say staff, but they're just because it's legal doesn't mean that we're going to do it. So if that's something that we need to look at even more in depth, or is this for
This is for
their,
cultural
ceremonies?
practices.
Yeah,
Ceremonies.
spiritual.
ceremonies and
Yeah.
cultural practices.
I mean,
And
can't
they
just
can have
get
a
away
pouch
with
of
the-
loose leaf tobacco.
Hey.
On a daily basis or this?
Wait, yeah.
I just think it needs to be tabled for more research and more discussion. That's all. Like, stay within the rules, but maybe have our own set of rules above and beyond.
So loose tobacco, if I may, the loose tobacco needs to be carried in a medicine pouch, so it'd be for spiritual ceremonies and things like that. A pack of cigarettes or a tin of chew is not gonna, be dismissed, because you're Native American. Okay, I mean, everybody needs to follow the tobacco-free schools. What we talked about, I think at the Falls Committee too, was getting together with our Indian Ed and
Yes,
figuring out if we could get maybe a master list of students that would qualify under this statute.
Yeah. but-
And so that might be, a way for us to keep tabs on students like that. But personally, I don't think it's gonna be an issue. I really don't. I mean, I think that our Native American students that wish to do this, I think they'll do that, and I think it'll be without any harm and much controversy. I think we'll enforce the tobacco policy as we normally would across the board.
Other board members, questions on that one? I mean, do we want it, more due diligence, or, if you feel that we can move forward, and if you're gonna meet with that group, I think there could be changes from there.
I just think it should be tabled for a little bit just to do more due diligence. That's all.
Sure.
We can still follow the law without approving a policy.
That's true.
We don't have to approve the policy right now. And that doesn't mean we're not gonna follow the law.
Well, policies, Brian, what's the date that these policies have to go into place? I read some.
Well, again, as Amanda's saying, so, we don't have to adopt these, right now. We just need to follow the law, as of, July 1st. Basically, so it's guidelines for us, what's really imperative is that we get these policies adopted and moving forward, so we can get them into our principals' hands and into the handbook. That's what's kind of key, and I do feel bad that we're kind of pushing these things forward, and I certainly, there's just a lot of new information that I wish we had more time to digest and process, but unfortunately, we need to move forward on getting people guidelines for the handbook, and so
Yeah.
principals can talk
That
to
was-
staff and students.
August 14th, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
I
Okay,
have zero issue with this policy moving forward as is.
well, let's keep talking about the policies because the motion's on the table. There's a second, and if we're gonna pull any policies, then we gotta adjust motions. So is there any other policies we want to talk about?
I just wanted to talk about more about 601 too. Maybe tabling it to be a more inclusive, nonpartisan definitions and language in there. We can add to the definitions. I don't know. I need to do more research. I didn't have enough time. But vote on it at the next meeting is my suggestion, just to give more time so that we can have a more inclusive, nonpartisan definitions in there. I would like to add something about anti-Semitic things as well and religion under the anti-racist, because people are still racist against different religions, and that's not in there.
So you're looking to add to the.
But
I'm
policy?
just looking to add a little bit more language to make it more inclusive to other areas of it. That is just I just need a little bit more time to reach out to our vice chair and chair, and so they can reach out to legal and things like that. Just some additive language to make it more inclusive enough.
Where would you add this language, Amanda, just this policy?
More under like the anti-racism part and the new terms that you have to have in there by law. I didn't have a chance to look to see if those are the specific definitions under the law. I was looking, but I'm not the best at navigating the website to find the laws. It's more the definitions is what I would like to add to, not take away really, but just add to.
what part of it did you think was partisan?
I think there's a lot of things in here that are, to sit and say,
Well, of course, it's partisan. Look at how the legislature is. I mean, we're
well,
not gonna fix that.
well, no, I know, but I think we could add words to make it more inclusive to everyone, is what I'm saying.
Well, here's from my standpoint, we as a board approved to pay our membership and I'm just gonna be frank with MSBA, who has several lawyers that do a lot of stuff for us. So what you're saying is, so MSBA and MABA put these model policies together, have a group of individuals, lawyers that follow the legislature all through the section. Have their meetings with leadership every single Friday. And so you feel that they're missing something in here?
I just would like I said, there's a lot of with the anti-Semitic thing, there's a lot of anti-Semitic things happening. I don't know necessarily in our area, but it wouldn't be bad to leave religion out of it or put into it. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it. I just think there's.
Well, I guess if we do have a board member asking, I have no problem pulling it. And pulling it to. Maybe Brian pose those questions of MFBA,
Sure.
call Gary and,
Yeah.
Deal with the other individuals. So man, if you would work with Brian and bring those issues up.
Yeah.
What we're not gonna
Found
do
it.
is, we're not gonna use a district attorney our school district attorney.
Yeah.
We're not gonna utilize them to figure out what we're gonna do. We can at least start with MSBA unless other board members
Would agree.
feel that we need to reach out to our our council, but I think if you, those issues or maybe misses that you may feel that are in there, Amanda, if you could bring those to.
Yeah, I don't mind however it goes.
And then
I'm
have
new on
those
all this, so I'm still
conversations,
learning
so
how to
they
navigate it.
they may have a reasoning why it's
Yeah.
not in there.
Yep.
And you know, which we don't know. So yeah, I mean, I think I'm comfortable moving forward, but if there is a board member that has some issues and wants something looked at, let's.
Yep.
We want to move on, especially this one. We got to move this one.
I will
This one
be-
Has to be in, we have to have this one done before we do the student handbook. So,
Light speed, I'll have it done.
Well, and just if I could, Mr. Chairman, too, just a reminder, we can always revise these policies.
Mhm.
well, and that's.
If we decide that if we want to get together as a policy team and we want to have discussion more about this, we can always make those revisions and bring it back to the board throughout the school year. Anytime we can do that. But you know, I know a lot of this stuff is really dependent on getting the infrastructure in with the policy because it's sequential and it goes into more curriculum policy. That's the next group I'll be bringing. So some of the definitions and things like that, I think that we're going to see them again. And that's why I wanted to get that structure in place. But certainly we can certainly look at these policies and make sure it fits East Grand Forks the best it should. Mhm.
So folks, anybody else want anything else pulled? Or to talk about? Okay. So there's a motion on the table, a second. As the chair, I'm willing to adjust my motion and get a second, to pull those. Again, those will have to pass. Or otherwise, we move forward. We approve them. We still do what was asked to look at both the policies and bring them back if adjusted. So, Ward, what say you?
I'd be comfortable just putting them in and readjusting them throughout the year as needed. Myself.
I agree with Josh.
I mean, it is kind of one of those things that, yeah, it's verbal and there's language in there that probably does, may need to be adjusted, but it's a time thing right now and we need to get these policies in place and we need to get them into our handbooks and stuff like that. So if there are things that need to be adjusted throughout the year, let's do it then.
And you're not taking anything away. You're only
Right.
adding.
Yep.
So
Well, I don't think I can even if I wanted to take it away. It's.
No.
Most of it's law that's added. So
that's why, yeah, and that's why I'm okay passing it and then adding those things as we have time to look at them.
I agree.
I would agree.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do then, since I'm hearing that, let's pass them. We've had discussion. There's a motion by myself, second by Brought. All those in favor, again, these are only one reading require of updating the policy signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed?
Yeah,
Okay, so motion carries with one descending. What we'll do though, what I'll ask Brian, if you would follow up or Amanda.
Absolutely.
for sure.
Yep.
With MSBA, on 601 and then on tobacco policy, if you want to,
Yep.
visit with that group to see if there's.
Yep, for
any
sure.
adjustments, and then if need be, those can come back on the 14th.
Sounds good. Perfect.
All right, 8.7 is to approve our driver's ed fees. Dan, came forward, we need to increase them about 30 bucks a pop or, which is certainly goes along with everything else that's going up in price in this world. So, I'll just entertain a motion.
I'd move to increase from 325 to 355 for the upcoming school year.
Second.
Questions or discussion?
And just to follow up, Jan, you said that with the increase, we will be able to make a revenue to have a small, like little nest egg, just in case.
Yep.
Okay, so we won't be losing money.
No.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure.
Okay, any other questions? All those in favor of approving driver's ed, increased fee signify by stating aye.
I,
Committee opposed, motion carries. 8.8 is to approve the addition of school readiness section. Need a motion in a second, then we can talk about it.
I'll make a motion. To approve.
I'll second.
Okay, questions or discussion?
What is the school readiness section?
That's what Diane.
Diane was.
Is that what you talked about?
I guess-
Okay,
I guess I.
okay,
I
I just wanted to make sure that's what the finding of another classroom and another teacher, okay. Wanted to make sure I knew exactly what we were.
So I'm
I-
very nervous to approve that before we have space.
Yeah.
Because if we have to go somewhere else, then you're talking fees that go along with that.
Yep, I I get that, yeah.
Yeah.
I will. I don't like to spend money on rent. I mean, yeah, so I will. I kind of have an idea in my head, but with everybody being gone for the month of June and for July, I really want to honor their time off. But I kind of have a backup plan for a backup plan.
If we tabled this till the 14th, is that too late to approve?
Well, it's gonna be hard to find somebody. It's hard to find somebody now. I mean, I don't know if we would have found someone by the 14th. You know, I don't know what's out there. It's this time of the school year. So
So how would that, so we would approve the addition of this section. You will advertise for a teacher and then approve those 14 children or sign those 14 children up.
Yeah.
After you find the space. So what would happen if we,
had no stay.
Or if we,
or
at
if
that
we-
time, there's only 7 and maybe 7 have found other educational opportunities, you know, then,
if they can't wait, the parents, the families.
yeah.
So I have not reached out to any families about this. So families, you tell people when they register, just assume you're in unless we contact you and say, at this late in the game, for anybody, and it happens to us every year because of how our registrations work. People would be hard pressed to find somewhere else to go. Because most places offer their preschool enrollments back in January or February for the following year. So if we told these people that we don't have enough room for you, we don't have enough sections, more than likely, they would just stay where they're at with out there.
So right now they assume they have a
They still
place.
have a spot in the site.
So we're
And I do
overflow of
let
14.
people know that it's July or August study. that we just don't know.
Have we ever thought about changing it to January or December for registration so that we don't have a time pressed issue like this?
We have, the issue kind of runs in with early childhood screening and locating kids because we don't have a district census that's up to date. We have to send things out and try and. But we could definitely try it.
Just so we're not so hard pressed for time and leaving
Yeah.
maybe 14 families without any school for their child. Yeah.
So I'm gonna play devil's advocate. Have you ever thought about saying no? So the reason I say is, you know, we're moving teachers around. The board has been talking up here about sections and things. Of having numbers that we have, in either the elementary school, the high school. Kids register for classes. If they can't get into a class one year, they have to take it the next year. We don't come to the board and say, you know what, let's get another business teacher because 50 kids want it to be in. So I have issue with this. I have issue when we're listening to we're listening to our treasurer's report and we're looking at the funds, we're talking about negotiations. There's zero problem with saying no. So that's just my mindset. Coming as the board chair, we have zero room. I don't know why we're having a discussion here saying that we're gonna find room, because we're not gonna find room. There is no room. We know there's no room. So by having a different administrator out there isn't gonna change. It doesn't grow the building. So I don't know why we're talking about having more room. We've all sat on the facilities committee talking about having all this room. There's no room. We're not gonna expand. So I don't know. I just don't know. That's my soapbox, but I don't know. You know, you said we're gonna make a revenue of 40,000. We're not gonna hire somebody for 40,000. So we're already losing money. We continue as a board to say, yeah, this is a feeder program, but yet our enrollment keeps going down. So I mean, I want to be. I think we need to be frank as a board, and we need to talk about this. I'm gonna be straight. Our previous superintendent's gone, and it's time to quit saying yes to everything. Or time to stop quit saying yes to everything. So to have a good discussion. There's nothing wrong with us saying no. So that's just my mindset. There's a motion and a second on the table. We can vote on it, but I want some good discussion on this.
I would rather wait to see if there's a plan on how we would even do this.
Yeah, I would agree. I just think we're always shoving. We're always moving things around. We're splitting them up. Without a known space available, I also have a hard time.
And you said it was a section of 4-year-olds? Is that what it is?
Section of 4-year-olds. That would be. And on the positive side of, is that it does possibly indicate that our kindergarten enrollments will be up in the following year.
But it could
Because we're
potentially,
serving 109, and let's just say Head Start serving 30. And then we get from the privates that come over, you know, from the people that go to school in Grand Forks and Sacred Heart and Riverside, that is public school. So, I mean, there's no way of knowing that for sure yet, but it does indicate that maybe no one's could be going. That's my hope. But I give the spaces.
If it's a time issue, we could always push this back and we could have a.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I think
Is there,
if you can get a plan put to place, I'll call a special meeting for this. I mean, I will call a special meeting.
is it,
Right.
is this out of the question? Like, we just wait until like after Christmas, like a sec semester, and if you were able to find space? Or is that gonna be,
they would already, yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things as that I'm indicating about that, is that right now we use what used to be the wrestling gym, and we use it as kind of half of storage and half of use it for our lunchroom. So it's used in the morning for breakfast and used at lunchtime. At some point, those classrooms, those kids eat in their classroom. Because they can't eat in the lunchroom with the rest of the kids. We could, if we adjusted and said, we're all gonna eat in our classroom now, we could use that space as a classroom space and make some adjustments.
Do we have enough people to help watch those kids in the classroom?
Yes. we do.
When you say we, you're talking about everybody at South Point? Or just?
no, that was her example.
The preschool.
You're the preschool.
Preschools, yeah.
Preschoolers will eat
All
in
the
their
sections of the
Yeah.
preschool.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, preschool classrooms at so. We adjusted and they eat in the classroom.
Okay, so with that being said, I'm actually gonna adjust my motion. Wait a second here. I didn't make a motion. Okay, Amanda, you made a motion. You seconded it. Are you willing to adjust your motion to,
Have it at the
to-
7th?
to table it?
Yeah.
So they come forward with the plan and then have Diane work with Brian. Brian will either contact Lynn or I, and we'll coordinate with the board if we need to call something, a special meeting, by all means we do. I just personally, I think that there needs to be a little bit more due diligence and there needs to be a plan on the table. And again, my comment on space, I feel there's no space, but what do I know? So you may come back and say, yeah, here's what we can do. Here's what we can do. But I think it's really important that we have a plan as a board before we vote. So,
I'll adjust my motion.
okay, so what, I'm not gonna tell you how to adjust it.
Oh,
You have to adjust it
fantastic. Okay.
Some way of table.
I am going to adjust my motion to have Mrs. Stordahl come up with a plan and present to the board before August 14th for the school readiness edition section.
I think so.
I've never made a motion.
Well, I think we put that in discussion. Yeah, I'll help guide you a little bit.
Thank you.
Just move to approve, just move to table 8.8.
I move to table 8.8.
Eric, you were,
I'll second.
okay, okay. So now with the discussion, now we can say, so if you can come up with something before, August 14th, if we need to, that's our next board meeting. But if we need to call a special meeting, by all means, we will.
Mhm. I'll keep mine
Okay,
August 7th open.
so with that being said, all those in favor signify by stating aye.
I,
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you, Diane. Appreciate it. 8.9 is approved donation to the school district, so if somebody would be so kind.
We'll do it in 1 second. Okay, I will make a motion to accept donations from the following entities or people. Donation from Branson Bank to the senior high football for the helmet tunnel. I can talk today for $1,000. A donation from the Simmers family to senior high for foundation scholarship for $800 for a total donation of $1,800.
I'll second.
Questions on donations? Certainly appreciative. We seem to be getting quite a few donations for this tunnel, so. It's gonna be
It'd be cool,
something else.
massive.
All right, all those in favor of approving the donations to the district signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. 9.0 is payment of the claims and accounts, so we need to pay the bills.
I'd move to approve the payment of K-12 bills numbers 125053 through 125196 and electronic fund transfers in the amount of $2,106,316.70.
Second.
Questions or discussions on the bills that have been uploaded into board book? All those in favor of approving signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. All right, 10.0 is board member comments. Eric,
Nothing today?
Josh,
I got nothing.
Lindsay?
No, I guess you can tell we haven't had a meeting for a while.
Aye.
No, nothing else.
Amanda?
Yeah, I just want to encourage the public, teachers, parents, everyone to look at the new policies, that are coming up. If you have any comments, questions, concerns, reach out, because this is not only going to impact parents, but the students, the teachers, everybody. If you have concerns, speak up. Have a good week.
Lynn?
I got nothing.
I have nothing, just, Brian, just want to follow up with Amanda on those two issues and then.
Yep.
Follow up with Diane, and then visit with myself, so
Sounds good.
floor is yours for comments.
I don't have any, just other than just thanks again for everything so far. It's been a great experience. Just looking forward to having a great year.
Keep us abreast of, the meetings that you have this week with the different negotiating groups and we'll figure out something from there.
Sounds good.
All right, next board, as I've stated a couple times, 1.0, next Board of Education is scheduled for August 14th. 5:30. Let's talk about it right now. Okay, there's a new sheriff in town, a new superintendent. Does everybody still like 5:30? It's the summertime. So let's just talk right now.
I kind of like 7 in the morning, but if we could get the agenda out earlier, but that's just me. Leaves me the whole day.
I will be on vacation
So you're gone.
on August
Okay.
14th.
How about everybody else?
I can do summertime, 7 AM is good.
I'm good either time.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do. The next Board of Education meeting scheduled for August 14th at 7 a.m.
Nancy, could we have the agenda out just a little bit more? Because since we won't have Monday to look at and research and do our due diligence. Thank you.
So
And I vote yes on that.
that's on myself and Brian too. We gotta get, we can get that out as we're working. Yeah.
I'll send a reminder email.
As we're working the agenda. Everybody's okay with that? Lindsay's gonna be on vacation.
Yep.
If anybody else has change in schedule or whatever, just reach out to me. All right, 12.0 is adjourn the meeting, so. Let's get out of here. Somebody move to adjourn.
I'll move to adjourn.
I'll second.
Anybody want to talk about it?
Oh.
All right, all those in favor of adjourning, signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Meeting adjourned. Thanks, everybody.
So it's at 7 now.
I think we'll just do that.